All right, let's do this. Welcome to the first ever podcast. Life sucks, then you don't. Now, it's probably sounds kind of like a morbid, pessimistic podcast title. That's the furthest thing from it. It's not morbid. It's not pessimistic. In fact, the whole purpose of this podcast is to help people alleviate suffering and elevate their consciousness so they can enjoy the success, the fulfillment, prosperity, the health they've always wanted. And I should stop and say, I don't have the fulfillment, the relationship, the love, the house, the cars, and the riches and prosperity I've always wanted. In fact, just 5 years ago, I had a whole lot more. I had a wife, kids, nice house, 500,000 saved up in the bank. And just 6 months ago, I wasn't sure how I was going to pay rent. I repeat, 6 months ago, I had no idea how I was going to pay rent. I had shifted from an in-person business that was doing really well, whole series of events, decided to do an online weight loss business, had a staff, had marketing, spent lots of money on it all. Next thing I know, well, it took a couple years. Credit cards are all maxed. Bank account is gone. Obviously, no staff, no clients, no business. Nothing's going well. And I literally did not know how I was going to pay rent. Well, 6 months later, I have enough money saved up to pay this month's rent, next month's rent, and the month after. I have money coming in. I'm very clear on my purpose. I've completely switched my business model, even though I spend most of my time right now earning money working another job. I have an awesome date coming up. Yes, a date. I should also tell you, in the midst of everything falling apart, that one thing, my ride or die wife, she said she's done. And I went along with it. I'm done too. And who knows? Probably is a blessing, but at the time it didn't seem like it. It seemed like everything was failing. I was failing. And the one person I thought believed in me the most just said, F that. I don't believe in you anymore. She was cool about it. I mean, I wish her nothing but love. No hard feelings. Well, probably a little bit still, but that's on me. I gotta let it go. In any case, it would have been very easy for me to throw in the towel and give up. And though I'm not where I want to be and where I'm capable of being and where I know I'm going, I'm a lot further along. And a major shift has happened over the last 6 months. So I should also tell you, if you're looking for perfection, probably don't want to watch much more of this podcast. I grew up in a super poor welfare family. I mean, I say welfare family, I mean, we were literally on welfare. We're homeless, lived in trailer parks. Couldn't pay the bill some months. We'll get into that later. I brought a lot of fight or flight programs with me from the womb through childhood. I got really good at doing the victim, poor me, poor me. But wait, I was also the first in my family to go to college and graduate, UCD, and get a job. I was a teacher, personal trainer. And I should also mention, I went to prison for drug-related felonies. Federal prison, in fact. Not proud of it, not ashamed of it anymore either. Drugs have a big place in my past. I have definitely defined the word addict, and not really the pretty ones like weed. However, I did do a lot of weed, but the main drug, the two main drugs, one's the Voldemort. We'll get into that later too. All that's just to tell you that I am not perfect, and I'm not even anywhere close to where I want to be. I'm not going to flash fancy cars, fancy clothes, fancy anything, telling you how I've got it all figured out. The one thing I figured out is that I don't have to keep suffering, and that at any given time I can tap into my true self. And this is where it's going to get woohoo and science intermixed. I can tap into my true self, feel different, speak differently, act differently, and just put out a different energy and receive a different energy. It's been there the whole time. And up to this point in my life, I've had a series of everything's going really well, everything sucks. Everything's going really, really well, everything sucks. So what I'm going to share with you are actionable steps. I'm going to share my journey as we go, because mark my words, you're going to see my life get better, better, and better. And if you join me and practice these same strategies, yours can too. So whether you're suffering from health issues, by the way, I'm a physiology expert. I've helped people get in shape and lose weight for 30 years at least. I am very well versed in neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and epigenetics, hormone science as well. But the most important thing I'm going to share with you is energy. We are in a very interesting time where pretty much everything the religious studies and religious leaders, I call them the spiritual superheroes, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Allah, Dalai Lama, list goes on and on. Krishna, if I didn't say that one, there's a bunch of them. They're all saying the same thing, and they were all right. And we know they're right because quantum mechanics is now verifying it. Our thoughts have energy. Our words have energy. Our beliefs have energy. And more than anything, our feelings have energy, vibrations, if you will. Spirituality and quantum mechanics, they overlap. And it impacts everything. Our 5D self, which exists in the quantum field, or heaven, or God's field. Our 4D self, which is a accumulation of our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and then the 3D, what we can touch, smell, see, hear, feel. Like that's the physical world. That's what most of our attention's been on. So today's takeaway is the R3 technique. If we don't control our minds, if we don't pay attention, I call it investing attention into what's going on up here, we don't control our lives. And life is going to seem to just be happening to us in ways that suck. And we're like, my life sucks. Well, here's what I learned. Every life situation I've ever had, good or bad, I created. And the life situation you have, you created. One sec. By the way, I live alone. I have for 3 years, with the exception of a very furry critter named Rocket. He is my spiritual guide dog. We create our reality. We create what we live. We create our experience, and we don't even know it. Our thoughts, if we think them habitually enough and over enough, become our beliefs. And our beliefs create the frame that we see the world through. You have a truth. I have a truth. We all have a truth. Don't worry. There's an ultimate truth that connects us all. But if we can change, and this is my experience, our thoughts, our beliefs, and therefore the frame of reference we see everything through, we can change our lives. I know this from experience. I'm actively doing it on a daily basis. It's going slowly, but it's going. And I should say, I made a commitment that I would do my first podcast, something that's been in my mind for years, today, before Christmas. Tomorrow's Christmas, by the way. Tomorrow will be Christmas 2025. So be it. Christmas is a little bit different when you're living alone with your dog and you're not with but no complaints. Oh, by the way, programs. You just almost saw one of mine. Our programs are our default reactions, our default beliefs, our default thoughts. They're programs. You can call them patterns. You can call them your limiting beliefs. There's a bunch of different names, but we have them. When we were born, we had a bunch of primal programs, our animal instincts. They kept us alive. And if something traumatic happened in our childhood or any time in our life, a program was activated to make us feel safer. Overeating is a program. Playing the victim, which I almost did again, is a program. Anger and yelling and always needing to be right, program. Needing to control everything, program. Here's some good news. Every program, every belief, every thought, every emotion, every action can be categorized as either power or default. Power is everything that aligns with our true self, our purpose, our being, our essence, our highest vibration. Power, default. Default, they suck. They suck the energy out of us. They make life suck. They're the ones, why did I do that again? Most of them exist in our subconscious, and you can call them limiting beliefs, default actions or responses, reactions, the feelings, any feeling you have, any emotion you have at any time during the day is either a power emotion or a default emotion. We default most of the time to the familiar, the comfortable, and usually those are the ones holding us back. Now, if somebody turns all of their defaults into power and their power emotions, hello, you have a super successful person. I'm not there yet. I would say the spiritual superpower heroes like Jesus, Gandhi, and the financial superheroes, Bill Gates. I like to say Alex Hormozy. I think he is a beast. I think he's a spiritual teacher in his own right, and so is Layla Hormozy. More on that later, because they're putting it into practice in real life, even though they don't cite any religion or any reference to God per se. I'm all over the place because, again, I've been putting this off for a while. I have a lot to say. I will talk about God, but for me, God means G-O-D, get over defining. I don't claim to know the ultimate religious figurehead of all God. I just know there's a higher source of power for all of us, and it's not me, but I'm connected to it. It's not you, but you're connected to it. And there's universal laws that govern physics, that govern metaphysics, and that govern quantum physics. There's laws that govern all of them. It's all coming together. And it's coming together by us elevating our consciousness. So G-O-D, get over defining it. But for this to work for you, I strongly advise decide what your highest power is. It can be anything. I did a lot of 12-step programs. I love them. In fact, I've done NA, Al-Anon, AA, CA, ACA, and I had a lot of trouble with the word God, higher power, all of that. Like, whatever. There's a God. Why is there so much drama in the world? Because we create the drama because we send the messages up to the quantum field, God, and we get back what we ask for. I'll tell you more about that. But the first tool, practical application I'm going to encourage you to do is something I started doing a long time ago, and it's R3. The moment you feel unpleasant, don't label it, don't make a big story about it, R3 it. Recognize it, R1. Release it right away, R2. And R3, reframe it. Look at it in a different perspective. But whatever you do, don't tell yourself stories about it. Don't spend a bunch of time labeling it. Don't spend a bunch of time trying to figure it out, trying to contemplate it, trying to figure out where did this come from? Why is this still there? Don't judge it. Just recognize it, release it, reframe it. Next video, I'll talk to you about reframing. And that's the law of contrast. Because the longer you think a negative thought, the more of that vibration you're sending up, you're sending out, which means you're only receiving like attracts like. By the way, I hate the word manifest. I hate the word law of attraction, even though they're laws. But in quantum science and in metaphysics, energy is energy. Everything is energy. That's in every level of science. So the energy we are transmitting at any time, which our cells are vibrating at, which our energetic transmitters are sending out, that's the only thing we can receive. So the less attention we invest on thinking negative thoughts and feeling negative emotions, the better our lives are going to be. And here's a real quick spoiler alert for next episode. If your life sucks, And all you can focus on are the things you don't like about your life. I don't like this. I don't like my relationship situation. I don't like my relationship situation, my living situation. I don't like my car. I don't like my girlfriend. I don't like my wife. I don't like my family. I definitely don't like my bank account. Congratulations. Because when you know what you don't like and what you don't want, by the contrast effect, the opposite is what you do want. And little do you know, the moment you didn't want those things, you shot a desire up to the quantum field of what you do want. The more attention you invest in that desire of what you do want, the more receptive you become. It's simple. Desire plus allowance equals desire fulfilled. It's like an equation. We can get into that more later. But for today, review the R3. Going around, see a picture, reminds me of something I don't like my bank statement. Right away, my mind says, oh, you lost all that money. Oh, you're never going to be rich again. Oh, and I'll recognize it, release it, reframe it. I am taking actions towards prosperity and feel the feeling as if I'm prosperous. It's a game changer. You just work. Life sucks. And then you don't. It's all about us changing ourselves, our beliefs, our default programs, our thinking, our feeling, our overall vibration in order for us to change our lives. And when we do so, the universe, God, the source, God source, the powers that be, powers higher than me and thee, sends us what we need. I'm making this podcast. Last Christmas at this time, no way I would have done this. I'm a year older, probably a little wiser, poorer, but now I'm aligned with my true self, with purpose, with intention, and I insist on investing my attention on what I do want instead of what I don't want. So the moment something pops up that you don't like, that feels crappy, that feels unpleasant, recognize it, release it, reframe it. Because your perspective and the meaning you attach to what you're visualizing or experiencing, that's your truth at that moment. It's not what's happening. It's how you frame it, how you perceive it. It's your perspective. Oh, so much to talk about. Join me in the next episode. I will talk to you about reframing and neuroplasticity. I'll also talk to you about Christmas and my first date and transitioning from a job where I'm working for someone else, making pretty good income now, to a job I'm going to make my own business again. All right. Thank you for joining me for the very first episode of Life Sucks and Then You Don't. I'm Tom Miller. A lot of people call me Coach Tom, and I am your guide to alleviate suffering, elevate consciousness, and get what you want. Because if you desire it, it's true to you. Gotta make it happen. You have everything you need within, everything you need. You're already complete. You're already whole. But the programs are just telling you lies. I know, because mine were telling me lies. No more. Until next time, go forth and do well. I will too. Because we're all in this thing called life together. And remember, life sucks and then you don't. We got to change from within if we're going to change without.